All right, I think I need to clear this up just a little bit. We're talking about rev rate here earlier, or last night, I guess I should say. I made a post about how to find your rev rate, and what I didn't explain is that that's your average rev rate throughout the entire lane. Your rev rate actually goes up when the ball starts to get into its roll, because once it encounters that friction, it starts to spin faster because now it's getting into its constant roll. Whereas in the earlier stages, especially if you're using it matters what ball you use basically. If you're using a high RG ball, it's going to rotate less, it's not as fast. And if you're using a low RG ball, it's going to spin up faster. What you should really do is make sure you're using a plastic ball when doing this. That's probably going to be closer. And if we're going to measure it, you should probably measure it if you're like on a Brunswick surface. You could measure it from off your hand until it gets to the front of the tracer. That might be closer. Do the time and how many revolutions to that point. It's really hard to track that way, but you probably figure your rev rate's actually about 30 lower maybe by using the entire lane than what it truly is, because it doesn't track your rev rate off your hand. Now, I'm not sure how the the bowler ID works, the track thing that they came out with. I actually, when I did that, when I went down, I was on Ebonite staff, and I went down for their Christmas, basically their, whatever it was, their gathering, and they tracked all the PBA bowlers who were on staff with them. They tracked all of our rev rates and all that good stuff, did some testing, and I got measured at 465. And Gotchol even looked at me. Rob Gotchol was the head of, the staff basically at that point before he went over to USBC. And he looked, he's like, your rev rate is sneaky high. It doesn't look like it's as high as it is. And I've always said that. I said, yeah, I know, I don't get it. I've always had an issue with my ball hooking early in a lot of situations. Not so much anymore because I've figured that part out. But I used to have a lot of issue with my ball hooking early. I think a lot of it was because my ball speed didn't match my rev rate. I think my speed was lower than my rev rate. So once I started to kind of soften my hand up a little bit and amp up my speed, I don't have that problem anymore. But yeah, I mean, rev rate is kind of one of those weird things. I think people have a misconception that they think that all PBA players are like 500 plus, or that there's a handful of guys. Like, you can count them on one hand that actually have 500 RPM, and most of those are two-handers. There's only a couple of guys that use their thumb that probably get to 500. I could only think of, like, Robert Smith was one of them, but he's not bowling anymore. EJ Tackett is one now. The only other kid that I can think of that doesn't bowl national tour stuff regularly would be Mikey Schleybaugh. He's upper 500s on his rev rate. I don't know. You guys comment below. Let me know who are all the guys that you think are 500 rev rate. I'll let you know if they are or not, because I know some people would look at somebody like Prather and be like, oh, he's got a high rev rate. He's probably 400. I mean, if anything, he's right around where I'm at, maybe a little bit lower. I know it's deceiving, you guys. It looks different, but I promise you. AJ Johnson might be one that his is probably 500, I would say, or at least really high 400s. He's probably close. I can't think of other guys. Kyle Sherman's probably mid 400s. Brad Miller is probably upper 300s, low 400s at best. Like Frankie Lavoie's probably in, the upper 200s, lower 300s, I would say. Tommy Jones is a 450 guy, I think. And Tommy was one of those guys back in the day where you're like, dang, this guy hooks it, he curves it. And that goes to show you that the technique has gotten that much better nowadays. Not just two-handed bowling, but people using their thumb too. I think some pro shop people have gotten better at creating better fitting bowling balls for these guys so they can get their thumb out faster and create the rev rate that they're looking for. Now, the hard part is creating the rev rate and the accuracy out of all of it at the same time. So, yeah, comment below. Let me know what you think some of these guys' rev rates are, and then we'll kind of chit-chat back and forth. But I kind of want to just chime in on this just a little bit, and I'll talk to you guys later.